Today we will install a $9 gyro on the WPL Toys 128 and test drifting. I am using the RWD RC gyro that is commonly used on the WPL D12. Mine is the WPL Toys 284131 version 2, so the servo connector uses a JST 1.25mm or a small one. Therefore, we need to buy a servo extension cable like this. The online price is less than $1. If your WPL Toys servo still uses a large servo connector like this, then you don't need to buy the extension cable. After we remove the servo from the electronics, we cut the default servo cable. We separate the default servo cable to make it easier to strip. We cut the extension cable. We connect this end to the servo. It can be soldered, but if you don't have a soldering iron, you can just twist it together. Brown wire to black wire, red to red, yellow to white. This is after being connected to the servo. Meanwhile, the other connector is connected to a female Futaba connector like this. We install the adapter to the car's electronics. We connect the servo to the gyro. The white or yellow cable is the signal side or S. If it's connected the wrong way, it won't turn on. After that, we connect the gyro to the electronics via the adapter. We attach the gyro using double-sided tape. I make the tape a bit thicker to absorb vibrations. I place it here. We turn it on and check the movements. This is an example of incorrect movement. When the tail slides left, the steering turns right. When the tail slides right, the steering turns left. If it's like this, it will cause the car to spin out. To fix it, we switch the normal and reverse switch. And this is the correct movement. When the tail slides left, the steering also turns left to stabilize it. When the tail slides right, the steering turns right. The gyro sensitivity is adjusted by turning this part. Typically, the gyro is set to 50 to 60% sensitivity. If the car keeps spinning out, increase the gyro sensitivity by turning it to the left. If the car's tires wobble, decrease the gyro sensitivity by turning it to the right. And if turned all the way to the right, it will deactivate the gyro. I attach the battery on top of the servo because the pickup body doesn't have much empty space. Since the position of the electronics has changed, I need to extend the light cables so they can be connected to the electronics. Here's the drift test. It works, but if you use a standard servo, the front wheels keep wobbling. Meanwhile, if you reduce the gyro sensitivity, the car often spins out. When I tried using a digital servo, the car could drift better, but it still wasn't quite right. Here's an example using a digital servo, but it's a cheap digital servo. If you use a better gyro or a better servo, you'll be able to drift better. In conclusion, I don't recommend using this gyro on a 128 scale RC. If used on a 1 to 10 scale, this gyro is still quite okay. For 128 scale, I recommend the Des Micro Gyro V5, which costs around $20. If you use the V5 gyro, drifting will be much smoother. I'll make a video on how to install it later. But before that, I will make a video on how to replace the stock servo with a larger servo. The reason is that my stock servo is broken, it won't center, and it turns out the price is quite high, around $10. So I decided to replace it with a cheap SG90 servo that only costs $1. I also tried using the SG92R digital servo, which costs under $2 and performs better than the SG90. I'll put the link to the servo replacement video in the description once it's done. Search the hashtag KuikMix28WL for more WPL Toys 128 videos. Thank you for visiting the KuikMix channel. I hope it's useful for someone, and see you in the next video.